Today, I'm going to talk about why this little all-in-one Epson photo printer has blown my mind and why I think you as a photographer are going to love it, but maybe even more importantly, your entire family is going to have a blast printing snapshots from their phone with it. Well, hey everyone, Hudson here. This week I'm coming to you not from the studio, but from the master bedroom of my own house where I've set up this Epson 8500 Ecotank printer. It's an all-in-one, it's got a scanner, you can, scan documents, do all the things you could do with the fax in the old days. It does fine printing of regular documents, but it also is a fantastic photo printer. It's super economical and waste friendly from an environmental standpoint. It has these tanks that you just fill with a bottle of ink. We'll go into all that in a minute. But, Rick LePage convinced me that I should have one of these in the house for the family, and he was 100% right. My wife and kids have been enjoying this so much. This is maybe not the printer that I'm going to do the fine art gallery work on. It's got 6 inks. It does an amazing job with 6 inks. But when it comes to printing, you'll be surprised with what great prints come out of this. You can use it with Lightroom or Photoshop or on one, using luster paper or many of Epson's great papers, profiling, sending it through, soft proofing, all that stuff. But the thing that blew my mind is the quality of the prints that come out of it when you just simply send a phone photo to it. This thing has multiple places to load paper, and I keep it loaded with a bunch of just standard copy paper for doing document printing, boarding passes, return labels for Amazon, that kind of thing. And then I have a tray where I just keep 4x6 borderless Epson photo paper glossy. And let me show you, let's say I jump into my phone and I'm using my Google Pixel 7 Pro, but it wouldn't matter if you're on an iPhone or a Pixel phone, wherever you happen to be. I'm here in my Google Photos, and I can go into my favorite photos, things I've starred. I've got some recent stuff from the family and skiing and the big snow that we had here in Portland. And there's a couple of fun shots. Here's one I love of my wife Stacy with the bridge in the background, and maybe I'll pick one of the kids in front of our house with all the snow. I think this one's really cute. And if I just go ahead and hit share, I've installed this app from Epson called Epson Smart Panel, and that's available for either the Android or iPhone. And you just go ahead, hit that, and it's going to share it to the Epson Smart Printing Panel. And you can see I've got there's a little screen here that flips open. This printer's asleep at the moment. It's going to take it a minute. It's transferring all that data, probably through to, there we go. We got 2 prints coming, and I can go into my settings here and tell it we're printing 4x6 premium photo paper glossy, borderless. That's all set. I can go ahead and hit done. That's what's loaded in the photo paper tray. And all I have to do is hit print. And I have done no editing whatsoever. None at all. Here it comes. It's starting to wake up. You can see its little touch screen is turning on. There's a cancel switch if you made a mistake. Out comes the output tray. And here comes 2 borderless 4x6 prints. It really does just make having your cell phone with these photos on it, it's like the old days when you shot print film, went to the photo lab, got the prints, came back, said I'd like 3 of these to share with grandparents and friends. Well, now just hit 3 on the print, and this thing just spits out really, really beautiful snapshot prints. And what blows my mind is that the colors are right. This is all auto-managed by the printer. I'm not going in and taking control and doing the kind of thing that as a photographer I would generally do. But here comes the first one out of the printer, and it looks, let's see, pretty fantastic. It's a little washed out because it's a little overexposed in this light, but it looks perfect. I'll go back to the studio and show you what these look like on the table in a little bit better light. And as the ink settles in, they get even better. Here comes the second one's already done too. All right, looking fantastic. I have these up all over the house. It's so perfect for snapshots. And the thing is, my kids have figured out, they're 5 and 7. They've figured out how to print from dad and mom's phone. Stacy's printing all the time. They've got pictures stacked up all over the place. I'm going to go through and show you some of the cool features of this printer. So for one, you've got this output tray that just popped out. If you pull this door that drops down, that's where you load in standard copy paper, or you could load in larger size 8.5 by 11 photo paper. They make a bigger version of this printer too. And I'll put links up, just go ahead and click right here and you can go into my digital darkroom. I have links to this printer in there. This is the Ecotank 8500. One of the things that I love about this, aside from its touch screen and its multiple ways to load paper, here's the little photo paper tray, which you can expand out, put 5 by 7 in there if you want. I've got 4 by 6 stacked in and loaded. You just drop that guy in there. This door can close. There's a rear feed that can take multiple different sizes. You just flip that up, pull it out, drop paper in. It has nice guides for showing you how to line it all up. One of the neatest things is I can look at the front panel here and you can see that it literally has these gauges. I'm full on all my levels right here. My furthest tank to the left is just a little bit less than full. When you start to get low, you get down to the bottom line, which you can visibly see from the front, you simply take one of these little ink bottles, which you can buy individually, and they have each different color of ink, which you've got 6 of them. There's gray, black, photo black, cyan, magenta, and yellow. And you can literally just spin the top off. You open this up, it has instructions for doing it. Stick the bottle in. The correct bottle's color only fits in the correct bottle's tank. Invert it and it gravity drains in and fills the tank from these economical bottles. The printing costs of this are way, way less than a lot of printers. Now, as I said, this is more a printer that I'm going to be using to throw 8 by 10s out to family members, 5 by 7s, 4 by 6s. It's not obviously the printer that I'm going to do a gallery exhibit from. I've got the bigger Epson printers, and for those, I think the P900 or the bigger roll feed printers are where you want to look. But as a printer for you and your family and just getting images out from, whether it's from your big camera and you're printing them via Lightroom or Photoshop or On1, which I'll show in 1 second, or you're just sending them off your phone, let's face it, there are so many great images that are sort of trapped on my phone, and just having the ability to throw these down and out of the machine they come, it's awesome. That combined with the economical ink use of this thing and the affordability and simplicity of refilling it, and the fact that you can load up, it's just smart enough that if you send a document from the web, a PDF, it knows to pick it up from the main tray that's filled with copy paper. If you send it a photo and tell it 4 by 6 through the Epson Smart Panel app, boop, it pulls from the feed tray. It's pretty phenomenal. So let me fire up my computer and we'll print a photo, more traditional photographer style, where we use a profile and we send it through, and take a look at what the result from that, say an 8.5 by 11 is. All right, so we've talked about why the family might love it, why it might be great for printing those snapshots from your phone. What about printing with it with a color managed workflow as a photographer? And I will tell you, this printer has surprised me, particularly because it's only got 6 inks. It's only got 6 colored inks. It produces fantastic prints. Let me jump over. We're going to move to my laptop here to talk about that. And I've got my cursor set really huge, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing better than maybe some of my previous screencasts. That's due to user request. I'm coming in here in On1 Photo Raw. I don't have my Lightroom catalog drive with me right now. I use Photo Raw, I use Lightroom, I use Photoshop. I use On1 or DxO Pure Raw. Those are some software that I use, but I print a fair bit out of Lightroom. I print a fair bit out of On1. Both of them have good color managed workflows. The screen of my laptop is calibrated, but I do more work with my big BenQ display in the studio. And these prints have all been soft proofed on my big BenQ display. They're ready to print on Epson luster paper. I can always tell because I color code my print images purple. These are JPEGs created at full resolution, 100% quality, Adobe RGB to print from if I want to. And so here I am, and I'm going to use this Costa Rican bird. It has dark blacks, bright whites, lots of saturated colors in this scarlet macaw from Costa Rica last year. And I'm just going to go ahead, click print here. And this is one thing I want to point out really quick. If you're installing this printer and you want to print in a color managed workflow, serious photographic work, I highly recommend, before you ever plug this into your network and connect it to your computers, go over to Epson's website, download the latest driver and software package for the Ecotank 8500, and then install that. Fire up the Ecotank 8500, connect it via its cute little touch screen to your network. If you touch the button here, that thing will pop up live. You jump on, there's a network icon. You can touch that. You can pick your network, type in your network's password, whoop, it connects. And then when you run the installation of that driver and software package from Epson, it will connect and it'll download all the profiles for the papers for this printer and ink into your computer so that it's set up and ready to go with all the photographic papers you might want to use. Like we're about to use Epson Premium Luster, 8.5 by 11, ultra premium photo paper luster. And we're going to use the rear feed slot on this printer, which is super slick and easy to use with almost any size up to 8.5 by 11 with this printer. It has a bigger brother that works with 13 by 19 as well. This is kind of the sweet spot for a snapshot printing printer that'll do great 8 by 10s as well, as far as I'm concerned. So for a bigger printer, I'd probably look to the S900 or the S7 or the P700 or the P900 or, a bigger roll feed printer. Anywho, all that aside, we jump in here. I'm in OM1's little print engine here, and I'm just going to stick with making sure that I have the right printer selected. That's the Ecotank 8500 on the network. Oop, I just switched it. Let's go back to the Ecotank 8500. I want it to be letter size paper, or some user-defined size. You can set it up however you want. That would be wrong. I want 8.5 by 11 letter sized. We can choose for it to be in the let's go. If we were say to print, let me cancel this. Whoops. Sometimes things get a little hanky as you switch paper sizes and printers around too much. There we go. We're back. Magic of just starting over there for a second. So back to 8.5 by 11. That's the choice. We're going to go with landscape orientation. You can leave the resolution at 360 ppi. That's great for this particular printer. The profile that we want to use is, you can scroll through all your Epson and different printer profilers. This would have been installed when your printer was installed. We want to make sure and say that we're using Premium Luster right there. Now you're going to find this printer doesn't have all the highest quality fine art papers. You're not going to find legacy fiber or some of those other papers included in the drivers for this particular printer. It's not, they don't assume that people are using it for that quality of work, but it does a great job with the papers that are included. So we're doing Premium Luster here, rendering intent perceptual. I generally use that for everything these days. If we were to use any sharpening, which isn't all that critical for an 8.5 by 11 print, but if we went into the sharpening types, I would just, for this image, choose print glossy. It's a luster paper. It's classified as glossy paper. I don't want high sharpening. I don't want the low sharpening that comes with portrait. I'm just going to choose the standard print glossy. Now we want to go in and access that Epson software that we installed. This is the software that came with the drivers from Epson. You come in here and you're going to make sure that you have the right paper size set. We're going to choose the rear feeder, not the rear feed slot. That's taking the printer apart and feeding a longer sheet in from the back. You want the rear paper feeder. And under properties, we're going to go into its driver and set this whole thing up. So we still have 8.5 by 11 rear paper feeder. We want to choose that ultra premium photo paper luster that we're going to use. Color, quality, let's go high. We want to jump here. That's basically all we need here. But when we jump in here, you want to look at more options and make sure you don't have automatic color correction, because we're going to use the profile for this ink and paper, and we've already soft proofed it. Professional photographer work in a color managed workflow, we want to do it ourselves. So we're going to click custom. We're going to hit that advanced button next to custom and say no color adjustment. Click on that little dot right there. We say okay. We say okay. You can also save it as a preset. And now we are set. I hit okay. Boom, we're in here, we're set up, we're ready to go. Now all I need to do is load up the printer. So let's do that really quick before I hit print. I'm just gonna open this little back thing, just flips up. There's a thing that you lift up, tilt out, pull up one more time, boop, lays in there. Shows you how to feed the paper into it. It says face the printing side of the paper forward. I'm going to grab one sheet of premium photo paper luster out of here. I'm going to put the print side forward, and there's a little adjuster in here. If you want to use 5x7 paper or some smaller paper, you just pull it all the way wide open. It's perfect for 8.5 by 11 paper. I'm going to drop it in there. Whoop, it pops up. It asks what size I'm using. Last time I used it, it was ultra premium photo paper luster. The fact that I'm telling it from the driver what paper it's using makes this whole thing sort of unimportant. All right, the computer knows what paper we're using and it's setting it up. So we're ready to go. All I have to do is hit print, and it says printing. I think you'll be surprised by what a great print this makes with 6 inks that come out of those little replaceable tanks. Here it comes. All right, and we'll just, at this point, I think we're done with the computer. We'll just watch this thing open up and the print come out of it. Since we're using high quality, it's going to come out a little slower than the snapshots from the phone. So it's actually pretty fast still, but I may speed this up a little so you don't have to wait through the whole process with me. All right, so I know that the light in here isn't going to be optimal for getting an idea of just how nice and sharp and beautiful this particular print came out and how good the color is, dark the blacks, how true to the image on the screen. But it did a shocking job. I'll run over to the studio and we can have a little look at what these prints look like under better light, you know, setting it up on my desktop so you can really see what these 3 prints look like. The overarching moral of this story from my perspective is, you know, this little more affordable, more economical, more environmentally friendly Ecotank model of printer is not only a ton of fun for the whole family to print snapshots that we're all capturing with our phones these days and smaller cameras, but it does a darn good job with your serious images too. So, you know, it's definitely something to consider having in your home because, you know, not only does it scan, print, do all those kinds of things you'd think of an all-in-one, it fits in a nice small footprint, easy to set up, easy to use, touch screen, and refill the inks one at a time from those big tanks that you buy more economically. I don't know. I think it's a really cool printer, and I could not be more impressed, particularly by what great images it spits out from that Epson Smart Panel app on your phone without even editing your phone photos. They come out looking as beautiful and vivid and lively and bright as they do on your phone, and that is a testament to what Epson is doing with this newer model printer. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Rick and I are off teaching workshops for a good long stretch here from Charleston, South Carolina through back-to-back workshops in Cuba. So, you know, you may find, I want you to hit me up with comments and questions and anything else that you have. Remember, you can find links to this printer as well as all the other printers and photo equipment, lenses, camera bags, computer equipment from the darkroom, you name it, over at my website, hudsonhenry.com/ATS links. Those links do help me out, so I really appreciate when you use them. You have comments or questions, hit me up via email, hit me up in the comments. I'm going to be a little slower as I'm traveling and working with photographers all over the world this next month. But I'm excited to hear from you, and your comments and questions really do drive the content on this channel. I can tell you we had 12 amazing people here in 2 different printing workshops last month. It was a really fun time. We had a number of people buy Epson P900 printers, but we also had a number of people choose to buy Ecotank 8500s. And some people bought both, one for the family at home, one for printing their work in the studio. So they're really kind of knocking it out of the park with these printers right now, and I'm having a ton of fun with them. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much. Oh, remember, sign up for the next office hours. I'm not sure the exact date, but we'll put it up there on our website as soon as we do. Go over there. You should see it right now. I don't know what it is as I'm recording this, but we'll have it up there. It's going to be a little gap this time, but we're excited to see you in a live photography get together when we're back from Cuba. So run over, sign up at hudsonhenry.com/office hours, and you can drop a question there when you sign up to be part of that big free-for-all that we enjoy doing with groups of photographers. So, all right, everybody, I hope you're staying safe, staying creative. We'll see you next week.